we all might have knots in our stomach, but we shouldn't have one on childcare. We should be able to get at least that right and not have to worry about it. So I'm thinking of her today and thinking of her brave witness at a difficult time in her life, to help inspire me and to help inspire others to work on this issue. So I'm in a different place now. We get to actually develop legislation, and we're grateful for this this opportunity, because a lot of what we talk about here in Washington, you hear the word jobs a lot, you hear the word skilled workforce, GNP growth, compete in a world economy, build our economy, the jobs of the future, all these different descriptions of the central or the centrality of the priority of economic opportunity in this country as we compete in the world. All of that starts with what we do with legislation like this, early care and early education. So I think you could even make the case that it's about national security in the end, not just economic security. So I think that it's a conversation that I know has taken place before in this Capitol, but it hasn't taken place in a while yet, and we need more work done on this.
Ross Thompson said something to me earlier, and I just thought it was such a great way to start off the conversation, talking about the fact that, which I don't think there's anyone in this room who hasn't alluded to this in one way or another, that we are now entering into what we could call a very hope-filled period of time for those of us who have worked in the trenches for a long time on behalf of children, on behalf especially at-risk, high-risk children. And so, Ross, not to take your words, which are so eloquent, but would it be okay for me to turn over to you with your thoughts on the kind of time that we're in right now, just to talk about some of the challenges that we're facing in getting our message out?
I really think we're in the midst of an absolutely historic revolution in public perceptions of young children and their needs. I think we're crossing a bridge that we're never going back again. I think one reason is that you can walk out on the streets of DC and talk to anybody about brain development. And they may not know a lot about it, but they know it's happening in the early years, and they know it's really important, and they know that children's early experiences are significant shapers of that. And that's a very important change.
I have to confess, when Morna started talking about childcare, my first reaction was, look, I understand Chip and some childcare, that's babysitting, isn't it? And that now, since then, of course, it becomes clear, childcare is brain development, and brain development has extraordinary economic consequences.
We know that the experiences that children have critical impacts on the development of the basic skills that they need to be acquiring over those preschool years. And it's really because of that I see here such a timely bill, because there's such a dovetailing between a political movement on the one hand and a movement in the science on the other that says, here's a point in time where we can really make a difference in preventing negative outcomes, to be sure, but also a difference in enhancing positive outcomes, in putting American school children back at the forefront of mathematically, scientifically, and literate students around the world.
Until we can make sure that both sides of the aisle, policymakers, are not just talking about kids in a really positive way, but are acting for kids in a really positive way, and particularly where the budget and appropriations realm is, we're not going to be able to move forward.
We're used to talking about childcare in this very negative way, custodial, warehousing. People didn't think it was worthy of a public investment. And to me, part of this new dialogue or new way of thinking about this, and I do think we have managed to pull a lot of this conversation off in Pennsylvania now, is you accept this as normal. This is a good place to make the investment because it will have these positive results. But you have to face squarely that for lots of people out there, when you're talking about worthy goals for kids, what Ross was just talking about, what they say is, fine, let's invest in parenting programs instead, because we can do these things by investing in the parenting side. Here we're trying to get very specifically concrete, and the part to me that is part of this messaging is saying we have positive examples, and I think you do this naturally anyhow, of having there be a good benefit for the children in the child care program or the early childhood program.
The fastest growing segment of the child population. I think in terms of messaging and advocacy, I think it's important to keep in mind sort of Latino parents and really being a sort of a natural constituency. Latinos are wildly excited about early childhood education. We've seen this in poll after poll after poll.
I just want to say boldly, we have utterly failed in teaching democracy, in teaching civics, and we have utterly failed in the very field that we're working with in imbuing any sense and understanding that parents don't feel like they're part of this conversation. So there may be some parents who feel like they're part of it because, I don't know, maybe somebody in this room was really nice to them, or they have a really great provider, or the director of a particular child care center is fabulous. But we have failed at bringing in families as real partners and as a real constituency. So when I hear people around the room saying, well, let's get parents, there's a part of my heart that just goes down, because the truth is, when you have a sentence that everybody recognizes in every state in this country, but I'm just a parent, they're not really going to come to the table until they feel that they're part of this.
For those of you who don't know Bob, this is 100% genuine. And in the end of the day, he just wants to help kids.